Hello, honorable members of the clan. So welcome to my YouTube channel. Let's go to Lutuli House at South Street in Johannesburg. It looks like the winds of change are blowing into the Lutuli House that got Fikile Mbalula's feathers really ruffled by the youth. And he had to put some stamp of authority and say, I run the ANC. Guy, listen, the booing, how do I put this in a way that is not going to shock you? Sit down and ask your wife to get you cold water, because what you're about to hear coming from an old youth, I'm no longer youth, but yeah, you know, the type of youth that was brought up by the ANC. You know the teachings of the ANC to its young people, and you know the fire that is also ignited in the young people of the ANC. What you saw was just a warning shot, sir. You shouldn't even had to make that threat to them. You shouldn't, because you once upon a time was the president of the ANC Youth League. Were you not? Yeah, you were. Even though your time when you became the president of the ANC Youth League, things had died down. The youth of 76 had laid down their lives, and then you climbed on the bandwagon of their blood and benefited. And when I say benefited, you benefited a lot. And the people that you left behind, the very youth that said boo to you, they understand that you left them behind. You left them behind to fight off illegal immigrants that are employed absolutely in every industry in this country. That is why they got the time to be sitting and hoping that the NGC of the ANC Youth League is going to produce something that they can hold on to. And then you come with your authority and tell them you run the ANC. But you don't tell them how you are going to solve their problems with that power you hold. Because whether people like it or not, 40% is a lot to do a lot of damage control focused on young people. Those young people that booed you, they come from reality. They come from unemployment. They come from ailments that they cannot get treated because your comrades from Africa are bringing their people illegally into our country. And then when they stand up, you call them xenophobic. I'm just touching on what is actually the reality of young people in South Africa right now. Unemployment, and the reason that unemployment exists the way it does is because South African youngsters aren't prioritized. I mean, somebody was sharing with me in the comment section. In fact, it wasn't a comment, it was a DM. They said that they had to pretend to be a Zimbabwean. They literally had to cross the border. Hey, I'm sorry, guys. Oh, when I heard this story, they had to cross the Beitbridge border to get a fake Zimbabwean passport. Get somebody at the border gate. Our BMA guys, they're still corrupt. Just letting you know. Stamp for 3 months and then cross back into their own country, South Africa. Put together a CV, nationality Zimbabwean, just so they can get a job. Because the industries, that's what they are looking for. If you're a South African, they will take your CV, toss it the moment you leave. Because guess who is the supervisor, the manager, whether it's a restaurant, a security company, or domestic, or the cutting grass companies, or whatever the case is. that are ran, by the way, by black South Africans. I'll repeat, ran and owned by black South Africans. I see the white South Africans. The DA is fighting for them anyways to have the illegal legalized for cheap labor. We know the history, apartheid and all that stuff, and I'm not using apartheid as a way of, it's just part of the facts of our history. That cheap labor, it was part of it. And now, because there's a Labor Relations Act and the human rights rights and all of that stuff, that you can no longer do to a South African, but somebody who holds no authority in the country and who best, the most vulnerable, who is illegal, can be fired. Yeah, an illegal foreigner. So our own people have companies, have restaurants, have security companies, and guess who they are hiring? Not South Africans. Because this individual, in order for them to get a job at a security company, they have to pretend to be a Zimbabwean. Born and bred in South Africa to South African parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, and forefathers. Do you understand the furor in that? Do you understand, Mr. Mbalula, why you were being booed? You were not being disrespected. It was a metaphor of saying to you, you have failed us. You're coming to tell us that you run yeah, might as well be running the country. Because the ANC is still a governing party. Yes, it has GNU partners, but it's still the governing party. And you want to show them. But then to me, the message was not just to the ANC Youth League attendees of the second NGC that they held, but also to anybody that is challenging your authority, whether ANC or not. You are telling them to shut the fuck up because you are in charge. It was quite hilarious at the same time. It was upsetting. I understood those young people, and I still understand those young people. And you had one job and one job only, to stand there and say, I understand. I understand. You no longer have empathy, Fikile Mbalula, because again, like I said, when you took over the ANC Youth League, the 1976 youth had already laid down their lives and gave you, they actually fertilized the soil or cultivated the soil that made you who you are today, the 1976 youth. And the moment you started benefiting, you detached. That is why right now you are inempathetic. Is that a correct word? You have no conscience. You have no sympathy. But you felt offended for being booed. Booed by people who are struggling in this country. The youth. You had an opportunity. You had an opportunity. And I don't blame the ANC Youth League for saying, wait a minute. The Tea Party comment, the apology, we withdraw it. We withdraw it. Because it was a Tea Party. It was a Tea Party. I mean, I don't know, allegedly, Thabo Mbeki said he received 28 million rand for the failed national dialogue. I don't know how true that is. Yeah. Tea Party. They were right. Most of the time I don't agree with the ANC Youth League, but this time, hey, I felt a little bit representative, even though I'm not an ANC or a youth league, whatever. I'm not a youth, let me put it that way. I felt their pain. You should have heard the boos. Yes, there were those were cowards clapping and cheering, but you could hear in the background the boos. You got offended because the youth are saying you are hurting us. You are hurting us, ANC. And we are here supporting you under all these circumstances. But you still took your foot and pressed it even harder on them instead of lifting it and say, oh guys, I'm sorry. We are trying to do better. It was sad. It was so sad. I'm so sad for them. And I hope that they wake up and realize that the ANC isn't going to do anything for them. The Secretary General, do you understand what is Secretary General of a political party? That's the engine. That's the CEO of the political party. That is why he says he runs the ANC. He's right. He's the big boss. It's not Ramaphosa. Before Ramaphosa can make any decisions, the first person he consults is Fikile Mbalula. He can't take a decision on his own without consulting with Fikile Mbalula. Ramaphosa can't call a meeting. Only Fikile Mbalula can. Because he is the boss of the ANC. That is why he was just telling you, so that you toe the line. Continue being poor. Continue being suppressed. Continue being unemployed. Continue staying at home because illegal foreigners are your brothers and they are here for a better life. What about your better life? Have you ever asked yourself that question? You gotta leave. Dump this thing. How do I put it? It's a Titanic that just hit the iceberg. If you know anything about the Titanic, it sunk in 1912, April 11th, I think. It's at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean right now. Took with it 1,600 lives, I think. Oh, 1,600 lives were saved. One of that. So you don't want to find yourself at the bottom of the ocean by supporting a dead horse. It's dead. It's gone. It's not coming back. And that's what Fikile Mbalula was telling you. That why are you still here? And it's a good question. Why are you still there? You're young. You're wasting your time and lives for something that is gone. Find other political parties. Find something else to do. They are not interested in you and your life and your struggles. So it was sad. It was so sad. It was so sad. And the unfortunate part too is that your leaders, they are weaklings. Weak. And I can tell you, they're not going to survive 2025. Sooner or later, they are going to be disciplined. It's going to be 2011 all over again. If you don't know what happened in 2011, ask Julius Malema. That is why he's no longer in the ANC. Yeah, I don't think Collins, whatever his name is, will survive Malachi. I don't think he'll survive 2025 as the Youth League leader. Because they are already finding a stooge. Right now, they are finding a stooge that they can control that will replace Malachi. And I think Malachi already knows this is going to happen to him. Like, it is what it is. A liberation movement, dying a natural death. I mean, all of them, that's what ends up happening. It's just that the ANC has been holding on by a thread for a while. And people were helping it. But many people now are like, sorry. So you are young guys. Do your booing at the ballot paper by not voting the ANC. And then you will see, maybe, just maybe, you'll be prioritized. I will leave the video right here. I don't know what your thoughts are. If you saw the video, I'll play it at the end of this video and see if Fikile Mbalula stamping his authority. Anyways, I'll see you later. Goodbye.